Sheila Wright. I have to shout out Sheila Wright. I knew Sheila Wright and her mother Becky in Chesterfield, Virginia when I was a reporter years ago, and I had no idea her mother Becky passed away a few months ago. Sheila, thinking about you. Becky was always great at calling in news tips to our newsroom, and sometimes I'd see her at different scenes. She would Facebook me and say, "Hey, you should know about this." But Sheila has been a stalwart East Idaho News follower, and especially with the trial. So Sheila, sending my best to you. Thanks for watching. Elizabeth, shouting out your best friend Tracy Clark, who's tuning in tonight. Thank you, Tracy and Elizabeth. Adam, shouting out your daughter who's 16, Sydney, sweet 16. Happy birthday to you. Michael from Pilot Butte, Saskatchewan. I think I said that right, Michael, or Michelle. Michelle? Sorry if I said it wrong. Anna Austin Cruz, fun fact. Oh my gosh, guys, this is crazy. Anna was rushing in the house to watch Courtroom Insider when she tripped over a sprinkler and broke her kneecap and had to go to the hospital, even had surgery. How awful. She's home now. I'm so sorry, Anna, about that. But yeah, gosh, all our best to you. Yes, you are a dedicated fan. Natalie, studying criminology at West Virginia University. Your dad says hello, Leo. Thank you. Danny Riley, Taisha, Ty, I met you the other day. Ty Bond, Taishia, got it right. Kim Rose, Grandma Kim, we know you. Walked into church yesterday for Easter services, and she came over with, she passed over Reese's eggs. Perfect, Kim, thank you. Trish Anderson, Nancy Fish, Eldon Hancock, Noelle Marroquin, Alyssa Smith out of Missoula, Montana, who's been here for every episode of Courtroom Insider. Amazing. Janet from Indiana and her daughter, who oh yes, Janet. I met you. I met Janet. I met your daughter today. She had just come from the doctor. So Janet, hi to you. Thank you for watching. And Air Mac from Greece. Amazing. Greece, Ireland, Spanish Fork, Utah, Pocatello, Idaho, Finland, and Kodiak, Alaska. Awesome. Thank you all so much for watching. We got a couple questions here. Natalie, does the jury go home or are they sequestered somewhere? Nope, they went home. They're at home right now, having dinner with their families. They'll be back tomorrow at 10:30. They won't sequester them, and we'll see what their families have to say. Nate, will you be interviewing the jurors? Yes, I would love to do that, and I hope to interview them. From what I've heard, tomorrow, if they have a verdict tomorrow, that they may be asked, do you want to talk to the media? And then they'll bring them outside to a media staging point, and then they can talk there. So we'll see. I'd love to do some one-on-one interviews too. That would be awesome too. If any of you know the jurors, and I'll try to track them down too when we're done. Kathy and David says, given that Kathy and David, those are my in-laws my in-laws, shout out to them, Kathy and David. I don't think this is them asking the question because they say, we're rather new to this case. Did the pool party get brought up? No, not in the trial. Wait, yes, one witness did. I don't remember who, but they said they recall hearing something about a pool party. One of the police officers. That was the extent of it though. So it did come up. If the video interview is for appellate purposes, how can the jury listen to it? The video was admitted into evidence by the prosecutor. And it sounds like Lori specifically noted for appellate purposes on the record that they wanted that portion to be reviewed by the appellate attorneys and then just to be flagged. So that's what she said when I want it noted for appellate purposes that should be looked at. Lori Vallow isn't wearing makeup, jewelry, or nail polish. She is wearing a hairband as a wedding ring and prison-issued glasses. I wonder if the jurors would notice. Tell us about it, Nate. Well, you noticed what I noticed. She does have that hairband on her finger is her ring finger. And I don't know if they'll know that it's jail-issued glasses, but I think that they will realize that maybe something. I mean, maybe they don't know she's in jail. Because she's always sitting at the table when they're brought in, and they leave before she leaves. She goes out a separate secure door, and there's a deputy sitting near her. So I don't know what the extent of their knowledge is, but that I'm sure that they've thought about that perhaps. Will the verdict be on a 30-minute delay? No, 5 minutes. Woohoo! Someone whispered no in the video feed when Juror 5 was released. Can you tell us why? Juror 5, I don't know who whispered no. That's crazy that the mics are picking these things up. There were a lot of people who sighed when Juror 5 was released. Juror 5 is an older man, beard, took a lot of notes, really into it, and he was released. So I think that's why. I think a lot of people really, I don't know, felt a bond to that juror. They could tell he was really paying attention. Jamie W., was there any reaction from Lori during the closing by Trina? Full disclosure, I couldn't quite see Lori. I was seated directly behind her, and there were 4 rows of people in front of me, but I did kind of look. She was taking notes. I'm sure she was nodding her head like this. She has a tendency to do that. I don't know the extent, though, of her disagreement. Brandon asks, will Colby or Charles' son Cole and Zach be able to give victim impact statements if Lori is found guilty? Yes, they should be able to. The Cole and Zach have not come, but they should be able to give a statement if they want, or they can write it and have it read or not read. It can just go straight to the judge. What time will the jury be back tomorrow? 10:30. Nate, tell us about your hair gel. What happened this morning? Well, if you must know, I told the story this morning on my video, which I've been doing these informal videos on the way to court, and many of you watch. It seems like we have a different audience, or maybe not. I'm quite enjoying it because it's more in real time, very casual. Maybe after the trial, we'll keep it up. I can drive with you on my way to work. This morning, because I went to Idaho and mixed up in luggage and whatnot, I didn't have any hair gel. So I went down to the hotel lobby. It was early, 6 o'clock. They didn't have any in the store in the hotel, but there's a CVS around the corner. So I go over to CVS in a hurry because I got to get to court. I walk inside, I find the aisle. There's like all this hair gel for $10, and I need like $1 hair gel. I finally get a little tube. It's in the bathroom. A little tube for $3. I go up and check out, and before I'm even thinking, I squirt the gel in my hand at the cash register. I'm self-checkout. I rub it in my hair, and then my hands are filthy sticky. So I say to the employee, do you have a restroom? She says, no, we don't. And I'm thinking, I know you have a bathroom. You just don't let customers use it. So I said, my hands are really sticky. Do you have a sink? She goes, okay. So she types a code in, opens the door, and sure enough, there's 2 bathrooms. But she says, I can't use the bathrooms. I got to use the drinking fountain. So I hit the drinking fountain button, and the water shoots up like 4 feet. Good thing if I had leaned in to get a drink, I would have been drenched. So I'm washing my hands over the drinking fountain, and I get it off. And then I said, do you have a paper towel? And she says, over there. So I have to go get the paper towel. That's the story of the hair gel. The story really is that I'm so forgetful because on Lori's day, on sentencing day in Rexburg, I forgot a belt and socks. I had to stop by Walmart on the way. Amy says they can't use the closing argument as evidence, can they? No, they can't. Just kind of a synopsis of everything. I was quite concerned that Trina mixed up people's names. Thoughts? Perhaps. I mean, full disclosure, I as you can tell, I mix up names all the time. But that I don't know. I think that people will forgive that. But yeah, it might be concerning. It might cause some confusion. Thank you so much for bringing us the trial live, Diane. Courtroom Insider every night and all your hard work. I have a question about deliberations. When Trina K and the officer read Lori and Chad's text, they skimmed over the texts. But will the jury have access to all the texts between them or only the ones that were read in court? Great question. If all of them were admitted, and I believe they were in many cases, yes, they'll have access to all of them. If they just admitted portions, which some of the cases I think they did, they'll just have those portions. But I think in most cases, the text messages, all of them were admitted. They just didn't take time in the trial to read through each and every one. But yeah, that's a great question. Someone asked about Charles' 2 children being in the courtroom. No, they have not come at all. Eldon says, in court today, did anyone in support of Lori take seats behind her? Summer, Janice, Barry, or anyone? Does she have anyone there? No, they have not come at all. In fact, they were on the witness list, so they couldn't even watch. They were on Lori's witness list. There were people seated behind the defense in the rows today, but those were mainly members of the public. Barbara asks, are Chad and Lori still Mormon, or have they been excommunicated? Has the LDS Church ever spoken about either of them? The church has not, as far as I know, ever issued a statement about this. Chad has been excommunicated. Lori, I don't know. I have seen Chad's excommunication letter, and he has been excommunicated. Lori, I don't think it ever happened. And the church does not officially comment on membership statuses of members. So I think Lori kind of hopped congregation to congregation, and but I could be completely wrong. She could no longer be a member. They could have excommunicated for her, given the charges that she faced and was found guilty of. It would be completely justifiable for the church to excommunicate her. When Lori isn't playing lawyer Barbie, is she a regular prisoner? Does she have special privileges to prepare for court? Is she allowed to have visitors, or is she in a death row sitting while she's in Arizona? She's not on death row. She's not allowed visitors. All visitors are done through the tablet video. She does not have special privileges. She, in fact, complained the other day that she has to get up at 3 a.m. to get on the bus to go over to the court. And that's when she reviews her stuff. She can review some things in her cell. But no, I don't think she has very many special privileges other than privileges that other inmates might have when they're on trial. But most of them have an attorney doing the work for them. Has it ever been definitely determined that Lori had a $2 million life insurance policy? No, just from what she has said in court. We haven't ever seen any proof of that. And then a lot of you are asking if she still has it. If the premium's not paid, which I doubt it's been paid for several years, it is canceled. Nate, can you please interview Nancy Jo Hancock, Summer Shiflett, and the other people who have been mentioned? I feel that they can tie up a bunch of loose ends. I would love to interview them all. I've requested interviews with Nancy Jo and with Summer, with Trina K. I did get a note back that because there's the upcoming trial with Brandon, that Trina K won't be doing any interviews now. I feel that'll be the same with the police. And even I reached out to Lori's defense team, her advisory attorneys, and I've reached out to Lori too, asking if they will do interviews. I have not heard back, but I'm hoping to get some this week. What point did Chad and Lori lose their independence and have to live in jail every day? Was this after they went to trial? Were they actually able to live in Idaho in the same house until a trial date was set and then sent to jail upon being guilty? No. This is from Tracy. Lori was arrested in February of 2020. She has not had one day of freedom since that day. She was flown back to Idaho, where she lived in the Madison County Jail for years before her trial. During her trial, she was moved to the Ada County Jail. After that trial, she was moved back to the Madison County Jail until she was sentenced, when she was moved to the prison. When she was in prison 4 or 5 months, she was moved to the Maricopa County Jail, where she has been and will be until this trial and Brandon's trial is over, and then she will go back to Idaho to prison. She has not had a day of freedom since February of 2020. Chad was arrested in June of 2020. He hasn't had as many moves, really just one. He was in the Fremont County Jail for years until his trial, when he was moved to the Ada County Jail, and then he was sentenced to death row, and he immediately moved to the prison in Boise, where he will live until he dies, which will probably be at least 10 years, maybe 20 or 30, unless he dies of natural causes before then. So they were not free. Chad was free for March, April, May, about 3 or 4 months when Lori was in jail, and they talked every day for hours. And we heard some of that in the trials in Idaho. So he did have freedoms that Lori did not have, but they haven't had freedom since